All right, Orange Juice Aerobics, we're back. Um, I didn't do the dots last week. That was the first week that I didn't do the dots. That was the first week I didn't do the dots since March. So I've been doing plyo, aerobics. I guess it's almost like plyometrics, I think is what you would technically call it. I just call it jumps. I call it aerobics, but really, I just call it jumps, really. I don't know. But last week was the first week I didn't do it, and I mean, it is what it is. I've been running more miles, so I kind of up my mileage when I'm doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mile workouts now, and that is starting to help though. So all those people who say just run more miles, there definitely is something to that though too. Where like yesterday I ran a 6 flat mile on the treadmill pretty easily, so my PR is 5:29. I could maybe almost go for my PR in the mile right now. Which is cool, and maybe I'll try to PR again here in a couple weeks. You should PR. I think you should PR once a year, once every couple years. It depends what your PR is too, though. My PR in the mile is 5:29 on the treadmill and 5:56 on the track. I plan on attacking the mile at some point here, but not right now. I'm still working on the 400. I actually set a few goals for 2021, and my big goal for 2021 is to run a 102 400. So this year I set the goal to run a 105 400. I didn't reach it. I ran a 108. But next year I'm actually upping that, and I'm aiming for 102. So my goal next year is to run a 102 400 meter, where I ran a 108 this year, so I need to cut 6 seconds. And then my other goal is to run a marathon, actually. Although we're going to see how the pandemic goes. If the pandemic's still going on at the end of the year this year, then I won't be able to run the marathon. My goal this year is to run a marathon, hopefully the New York City Marathon. And then I want to run a 102 400 meter. I'm moving back to New York in a couple weeks, so I won't have this track here. But I'm getting a GPS watch, and I'm going to just I'm probably going to run on the west side of Manhattan, actually. Which will be actually kind of more scenic. It'll be different. Might hurt my sprinting a little bit leaving the track. Oh, that's another thing. I have lived next door to a track for 13 months now. So for 13 months, since I left New York, I've been able to walk out my door and just be right at the track. And that has definitely helped me too. I don't want to chalk everything up to nature versus nurture, or the resources you have, but it definitely helps to have certain things. One being a track right next door to your house. I've been fortunate this year to have a track right next door to my house all year too. So that was greatly beneficial this year, where I'm definitely faster, I'm leaner, I'm in good shape. Cardio-wise, I'm in the best shape I've been in since high school. I'm a little bit weaker than I could be, but I could be a little bit stronger. Otherwise, I'm almost in the best shape I've ever been in. But not quite. In 2012, I was lifting weights 5 days a week, running 2 miles every day. So and playing basketball. So I was actually in a little better shape in 2012. I think I benched 250. Although I benched 235 yesterday, so I'm close though. Regardless, long story long, it's good to keep track of your progress, but also know what's affecting that. Living next door to a track definitely affected that. And when I leave here and move back to New York, that's going to affect my running too. So maybe I'll struggle sprinting next year. We'll see. But all in all, I'm happy with how 2020 went. I ran 450 miles. I don't know that I lost weight necessarily, but my hips are much stronger. My jumps are improving. And that just comes from consistency. And I think just now, after 9 months of really training hard, am I really starting to see results too, which is the consistency, and upping the miles definitely helped. Where I'm the type of runner who I'll run as hard as I can painfully. I like the mile, and I'll run a 6:10 mile. I'll hurt myself doing it. I mean, it hurts. It hurts pretty bad, but it's only 5 or 6 minutes. I'll run a 6-minute mile, and I'll just do it every week, once a week, and I'll go through that pain. Well, now I'm running 20 miles a week, 15 miles a week, and now it's actually kind of getting easier though to run that 6-minute mile. So there definitely is something to running more miles though, obviously, which it sounds simple, but it's that's the reality. But it can feel counterintuitive too, running 15, 20 miles a week. You know, doing an 8-mile workout is a lot. It feels like a lot. It's different. I'm rambling, but I'm gonna get to the dots right now. And I think 2020 was a success. I fell just short of my 400 goal of a 105. I ran a 108. I can live with that though. I mean, that's life. You know, it helps to have a workout partner. It helps to have a track next door. It really helps to have home-cooked meals. But I haven't eaten fast food in 6 months. I haven't gone to a restaurant since August. So I'm doing a lot of things. I don't have a car. So I walk another 10 or 20 miles a week on top of the 15, 20 that I run. And all that affects your times. All that affects your physique. And, you know, we'll see. In New York, I actually walk more, though. So that won't be affected when I move next month. But, okay, long story short, I had a good year. Part of it was definitely from not eating out. I gave up eating out. I haven't eaten out since August. Part of that was financial, though. Living next to a track and making a concerted effort to run harder and to run more miles. And that definitely was a formula for success this year. Where maybe I'm not successful, but I definitely grew as a runner. And that's all you can really hope for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about winning just as much as anybody, but the most important thing is that you get better too. And some days it won't feel like you're getting better, but you are. And you know, you just have to pay attention to all the little things you're doing. And don't discredit yourself because, you know, like again, I had some things go my way this year where the track is right next door, and I've been eating well lately, you know, because of the unemployment money has actually been just fine for me grocery-wise, being single and not having children. But, you know, I'm about to move. Be aware of the things you have, too. You have to be aware of what you have and be grateful for what you have. Because, again, I'm not going to have this track in a month. And maybe my times will dip. Maybe I won't reach that goal of a 102-400 next year, long story short. But I'm going to get a GPS watch. I'm going to keep running sprints. I'm going to start running the west side of Manhattan by the river. And we'll see what happens. Faster. I'm definitely a little quicker. Well, 400's tough, man. The 400, it's just really a test of strength. I hear Nick Simmons say this all the time. He's an Olympian. He probably has the best running channel on YouTube. I highly suggest everyone checks out Nick Simmons, Symmonds. But he always says, be a strong runner. Spencer says that too, another professional runner on YouTube, The Athlete Special. I follow them. They're obviously more knowledgeable than me. But they always say, be a strong runner. And the 400 is really about being strong. Like, sprinting is almost more about being strong than anything. And that's kind of what I've been taking, into account lately, is just trying to be a stronger runner. And that's why I say, sometimes you won't improve, but even when I'm not improving, I'm working on my form. I'm trying to just be a stronger runner. But life goes on. I mean, it's one day at a time. Your body's not going to transform overnight. But it definitely helps to have a track right here, I'll tell you that. Helps to be consistent too. I mean, after 9 months, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm substantially quicker. Where even a couple months ago, I was the results aren't really there. But now today, when I ran that 6 flat yesterday without even really breaking a sweat, I couldn't run a 6 flat mile 6 months ago without breaking a sweat. Let's just put it that way. I think I'm jumping a little further. It's definitely working. How much of it is genetic is hard to say, but it definitely helps to put the work in. I saw another chick who's a professional athlete. She did these all the way around the track, and that's a tough workout too. That's one of those things I always thought about doing but never did, and that might help my 400 too, is to try to do walking lunges around the track. So before I move, I might try to do that once or twice too. But just creating new workouts. Anyone who's high level, who competes at a high level, you have to try to do stuff that your competition isn't doing. And that can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes people feel especially in sports, your workout starts when your workout ends, because that's when most people stop. So if you want to excel, you kind of got to go beyond your pain threshold to go to where you're not average. To not be average in sports, you almost have to do non-average workouts. So you have to go beyond your pain threshold where most people would quit. At the same time, I'm not too psycho-competitive. I don't take it too far like some people. But there is some truth to that, where you almost want to say, okay, I feel like quitting now. Let's go a little bit further, and that'll separate me from 50% of my competition. But also creating workouts, like doing walking lunges all the way around the track, doing something that you do. It's almost like an evolution, actually. You're evolving a competitive advantage. You almost have to evolve a competitive advantage as well in sports and life and whatever. And that'll come from creating your own workouts like I'm doing right now. When I go play basketball, how many guys at the park even do lunges? Almost none. So when you play against Joes too, it's different also. I think it's 4 or 5.